The NFT world is wild.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it is wild. It feels like you're in the Wild West. There are some amazing projects doing incredible things, and I love those and I support those. And then there are some projects that are 100% pump and dumps.
So we did a little pre-podcast before the actual podcast.
Yes, we did.
That's always our favorite ones. Post-podcasts are fun too.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to just kind of like break the ice and ask. So Grim Syndicate, we're going to get into that while the podcast goes on, but there's such a big storyline and the animations are so interesting. I'm just wondering, did Grim Syndicate NFT project kind of stem from like a kid drawing or like some sort of like dream or maybe even a nightmare? Like how do you just like start Grim Syndicate?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So it was started with myself and my brother, my brother is Justin Mezzell, always a super talented artist. And we had another gentleman who we call Lothar, and he is actually a developer. And so the three of us had a software company, and that's kind of where it all started. We had worked on a number of other projects prior. But I'll take it back even a little further. Prior to us getting together, my brother and I, we used to have this, creative ideas. Like we used to draw all kinds of different storylines. We would we'd create these games, again, all on paper, just with pencil and paper. My brother created like this monster manual of like 350 crazy monsters and like, you name it. I mean, they were awesome. And then I designed all the weapons and I put all the stats. And so we would have this like, I guess like almost feels like a Dungeons and Dragons at some level. Mm-hmm. So we always had these really interesting stories that we would play out. And then the other thing that we had is that we came from a very conservative Christian background. Mm-hmm. And if you know anything about the Grim Syndicate, it plays a lot upon this idea of death. And so we kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit and explore what that looked like, this idea of ghost and these reapers that are actually out there to capture those souls. So it started kind of there, and then we drew some inspiration from that. And together, this amalgamation, the Grim Syndicate popped out.
Yeah. So that you said there was a trio. It's you, your brother, and then what was the third?
Lothar. Yes.
Lothar.
Yes.
That's an awesome name.
Yeah. It's not his real name.
Yeah.
Now, in the crypto world, right, no one shares the real name.
Right.
Except for my brother and I. I'm Ryan Mezzell, and he's Justin Mezzell, and that's... But it kind of sounds silly even saying this, but my web name is Detrick.
Detrick. I like
Detrick,
that.
Yeah.
My gamer tag is Brinkle. My Xbox gamer tag. So I'm going to just say that's my crypto name as well.
Yeah.
BRINKAL. Brinkle.
I feel like most crypto handles or names in Discord all came from original gaming names.
Yeah.
Detrick is in Halo. I used to play as Detrick. So that's how it all came from gaming.
My first gamer tag was very unoriginal. It was Sniper Master, but like the I was a 1 and the A's were 4s and yeah, very cheesy. So you guys, how did you figure out you could make this into quote unquote a business? Like, so you guys create games as a kids and then the trio just meets up and says, let's start an NFT project, or?
Yeah, so not quite like that. The trio met up, and the three of us decided we wanted to create a game. So that was the first thing we did. We said we want to build a game, and this is before NFTs had really taken off. So NFTs weren't even a thought in our mind. So we started working on this game called Node Shifter, and man, we poured so much heart and soul. It was an awesome game. The art looks great. And it made no money. And it was like, it took so much time and energy, and we had a blast doing it. But it was a total dud from a financial standpoint. And so we kind of continued working together, and we put out a couple more mobile apps, a couple small things like a real estate calculator, like a financial worth tracking app, some little things like that. And then we kind of went a little dormant for a while. It was always a side hustle, just something we wanted to do on the side. And we all of us enjoyed that world. At the time, I was working for a software company. My brother was working for a software company, and my developer developed software. So we were all living in that space. And I don't remember who kind of broached the subject, but maybe a year later, I think it may have been Lothar. Lothar approached my brother and was like, hey, we should look into NFTs. And I really didn't know anything about them. And then Lothar approached me and said, hey, Ryan, we should look at NFTs. And we had never even thought anything about it until he brought that subject up. And then the three of us all just kind of started talking independently. And we said, well, why not? Let's give it a go.
Yeah. That's funny because I did a lot of studying on Grim Syndicate, and I know your brother very well now because I watched all like the weekly updates, number 1 through 20, and I watched most of them. Some of them ran 30 minutes long, so I was in the coffee shop for a while. But it gave me it was more than like, you know, Bored Apes or like profile pictures and, oh, did you see my Bored Ape? Like he has sunglasses on. When I was watching Grim Syndicate, I was like, am I like playing Skyrim right now? Like, it's funny to hear it started as a video game. I thought it might have started as an NFT project and you guys found a way to kind of like turn it into more of a game. But you guys have like in-game currencies and quests and stuff, or well, in NFT currencies. I don't know how you would pronounce that one.
Yeah. I mean, so for us, gaming was always like something that we loved. And we always said, we wanted to come back and make another game. So when we launched the Grim Syndicate, part of our roadmap was always, we want to make a game. And we wanted to take the lessons that we had learned from the previous game that we had made and try to apply them here and make something a little bit different, a little bit more focused. And so that was always on our roadmap. The actual in-game currency and our currency in our little ecosystem is called Astra. That actually came about from a fellow community member. So, NFT projects, they always seem to have a big community or a following, or any of the successful ones tend to have a pretty big following. I guess kind of like everything nowadays, right? You need a following.
Exactly.
And so someone in the community was like, hey, we should look into doing this. And we launched on the Solana network, which is another cryptocurrency similar to like an Ethereum or a Bitcoin. So it's a different cryptocurrency. And the Solana network has something called an SBL token, which is Ethereum has an ERC token, but these tokens you can actually trade them and they have monetary value. So for us, we didn't want to launch a full token because there were some security questions and all kinds of different things, but we still wanted to be able to provide some level of utility and some type of currency within our ecosystem. So we decided to go the route of creating our own currency, but it was only accessible within the actual environment of the Grim Syndicate. So that's how that got started, and now we're slowly starting to add more value to it, and we do auctions with it and all kinds of fun stuff.
So say I have a Grim, and where do I go to do the quests, and like when I get the Astra, what can I do with the currency, and how does that look? Yeah,
great question. So if you have a Grim, you can go to our ETA dashboard, which is our ETA.syndicate. Then I obviously can give you all the real links, but it's our dashboard, and you go there and you do something called staking, or we call it clocking in the Grim. And so you actually take that Grim, you clock them in, and over time, the longer that it's clocked in, it gains Astra. And that Astra is based upon the actual rarity of the base. So one of the cool things with the NFTs and something that we're really proud of at the Grim Syndicate is the diversity of the actual art. It's super diverse. There's lots of different variants, and so different bases have different rarity values, which give you different accrual rates of Astra. So that's kind of how that all got started. And so you could do that. You can use that Astra to purchase through our auction house. We created an auction house. You can use it to buy tickets to, we have something called the Wheel of Degen, and it's like once a month, and we give away a bunch of prizes, Solana, we give away NFTs. So you can purchase tickets with Astra, or we have special artists that come in and will auction off their art using Astra. You can use it to upgrade your some other NFTs. We have a demon collection that we created, and so you can use that Astra to update that. That hasn't rolled out yet, but it is going to be rolling out. So there's all kinds of different things. We're always trying to add more value.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think with Fortnite and like some of the biggest games on earth, they are selling like cosmetics now. And yes. It just makes sense that, you know, NFTs, you're creating a game where the cosmetics are NFTs. Are you guys developing an actual card game, or are you guys more so on like the software game? I just saw on your roadmap, the last one was a card game, like dice and stuff. Is that
Yeah. So when we originally started it, we thought to ourselves, it would be really cool to make a card game. And that was originally what we thought. We're like, yes, let's do cards. It's going to be so much fun, a physical game. But then once we started looking at the requirements from a cost perspective, from a time to be able to do that, and the logistics of printing and shipping, we decided, you know what, why would we go that direction when we already have kind of in our wheelhouse is programming? So why don't we make it digital? And so what we're creating right now is it's a game called Abyss Walkers. And in Abyss Walkers, it's a digital card and tile game. So you've got cards in front of you, and then you've got a tile board, and you're actually playing your demon NFTs. You're actually using them as the characters that you're fighting in this game.
That's sick. Is there something wrong with like PFP, like pump and dump NFTs? Like so you guys have built so much, and you guys made such like a roadmap, and you guys are creating games and stuff. When you see something like Bored Apes is just kind of like a profile picture thing, right? Like most NFTs don't really have a storyline to it. You can just buy it and say you have it. Do you guys kind of like laugh when you see like a PFP, like pump and dump, like 30 Ethereum, $1 million quick push? You know?
Man, the NFT world is wild.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it is wild. It feels like you're in the Wild West. And it ranges all over the spectrum, right? There are projects that are amazing projects with incredible creators that are truly trying to revolutionize Web 2 and to get into that Web 3 space. Mm-hmm. There are some amazing projects doing incredible things, and I love those and I support those. And then there are some projects that are 100% pump and dumps.
This episode is not sponsored by Rode. Rode, your video mic MEL is booty. And not the Latina kind, the kind that smells like Swiss cheese left in your fridge since the debut of Joe Rogan's podcast, a long time. I bought 3 of these mics to capture audio while I record podcasts on the road. Great idea, right? But the audio makes us sound like we jumped into a plane engine, not once, but repeatedly. How come every 20 seconds it sounds like there's 10 Chris Rocks making G.I. Jane jokes? You sell an $80 2-inch microphone that captures worse audio than a seedless watermelon with jumper cables. Rode, you owe me $240. Go to Rode.com and use my discount code THEWETSLAP to get absolutely 0% off your purchase of the video mic MEL. Again, thank you, Rode, for not sponsoring this podcast.
Yeah. I mean, we're literally like, there are entire Telegram groups, and they're all like, all right, everyone, buy now, pump this bad boy, and then at like T-1 week, we just sell it. Mm-hmm. I think Bill Gates mentioned the greater fool theory, and I think a lot of NFTs probably fall into that category of the greater fool theory. But there are a number of really great projects trying to really do something fun and different.
So how often when you say, oh yeah, I have an NFT project, or it comes about in conversation, how often does somebody kind of shrug it off real quick because they are so used to seeing like PFP projects and pump and dumps?
Yeah. In the beginning, when I was first telling my family about, selling JPEGs essentially, right? That's kind of the joke. When I first told my mom about it and my family, my wife's family, their eyes like completely glazed over, and they're like, "Wait, what are you doing? Like, why are you selling pictures?" Like, it was just completely out of the realm of like possibilities. And now I think now that we've seen more NFTs in the public sphere, you know, followed by Bored Apes has really kind of set the standard for notoriety. I mean, Snoop Dogg and Eminem, right? I mean, had a Bored Ape music video. So it's, you know, starting to gain more mainstream attraction there. But definitely in the beginning, like no one knew really what an NFT was. And slowly they're starting to figure it out and say, well, that's, I guess he just likes to sell pictures.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Were you into crypto before you got into NFTs?
You know, I wasn't. I was actually a little different. I mentioned Lothar as like our developer. He's an old school, like 2013, like hardcore crypto guy. Like he was in there in the beginning when it was like nothing. He has been through every bear and bull you can imagine. And he used to tell me like, Ryan, you've got to buy cryptocurrency, get into the crypto game. And I was literally saying like, no, this is stupid. Like, why would I buy fake money? Yeah. And then actually a little anecdote for you. There was an Uber driver. I was in Atlanta. I was working, and there was an Uber driver that I was riding his Uber, and he said, "Hey, man, let me tell you about what I'm investing in. It's this thing. It's called Bitcoin. It's like it's going to change the world." And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, this guy's crazy. What is he talking about? He's like throwing his life savings at this thing. Yeah. And I literally stepped out of that Uber and I was like, this guy's crazy. Absolute nuts. Like this guy is pure nuts. And now, you know, who knows where he's at? He's probably driving Maseratis.
Right, exactly. What's funny is you and I were both in New York last week and had no idea we were there at the same time. I was visiting some family, but also recording a show. And I took an Uber with a couple friends, and they like to talk about like artificial intelligence and very like Lex Friedman feel. Yeah. And there was this Uber driver just sitting there listening to these crazy ideas and the market. And Allison, who I was visiting, she's really into finance. So she was talking about like what we're about to go through and like quarterlies, blah, blah, blah. I don't know that stuff. But I felt so bad for the Uber driver because he was sitting there like just complete silence in the car. We're talking about how I think what was funny is Doug, who was on the last episode that went live actually today, he was talking about how AI is going to take like drivers' jobs. You know, this is what we're talking about all the time. Oh, yeah. There's a driver driving us right now.
Your job is going to be gone soon. Yeah. Oh.
So he's going to take all like low skill jobs. And I'm like, our driver's sitting right here.
Yikes.
You know, he didn't even notice it just accidentally. But
you know, I'm sure if you have an Uber driver to bring onto the show, I'm sure that they would have so many incredible stories.
There's a lot of people who post YouTube videos of them driving people and the crazy stories that happen, and like TikTok videos of like drunk girls in the back after the club, or like just some crazy guy yelling at the Uber driver. They post videos, and there's one big guy. Kenneth, do you know the name of the guy?
I don't, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he makes a lot of money on social media from doing Uber driving.
Nice.
Genius collateral.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You guys have amazing animations. I watched some of the YouTube like animations. Who does that? Is that your brother?
Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that. No, it's actually, we have a team, and it's a member of our community, and he does all the animations for us. Him and his team. It's the gaming studio. He actually owns a gaming studio, and just a really awesome guy. So, and we've got a new video coming out, which I'm excited about. But for us, we've always wanted to get into the media space. So we believe NFTs and Web3 in general is going to be just ripe with opportunities to build television and to like get out a different media and to be able to like generate stories and ideas, not just from like one central location, but to actually, draw stories from an entire community. And that's what, really got us excited about that. So that's really what our play was, is that we want to be a global storytelling brand. And so for us, being able to create some of these little animations and you know, that kind of goes along with that.
Yeah, I love this. This is so enjoyable. For so long, I've been wanting to do, you know, how podcasts or like storytelling people on YouTube or whatnot, they'll have animations where they're, so one of my podcast clips, I would love for it to be like an animation.
Yes.
Like me walking through a bus stop and I'm just telling the story on the podcast.
Yeah.
You know, that stuff's so awesome. But this is impressive. I saw this and I'm like, wait, this is way more than an NFT project almost. But
well, thank you very much. I really do appreciate the kind words.
For sure.
I mean, we've had so much fun working on this project.
Yeah.
We've got huge plans for it. You know, for us, like I said, I can't say too much, but I will say that we are in talks and working for an actual media play. So
cool.
We're super excited about that. It's going to, I think, change the game. But, you know, besides that, obviously we've got our actual game coming out. You know, it's like so many really neat things. But the best part is the community has really helped, you know, get excited and they help drive so much of that story and narrative.
How many hours are you having to spend a day with the NFT project and being a part of that?
Too many is what my wife would say. So I have a day job, a normal day job. And so I do my normal day job. And then in the evenings, I work. So I don't know, maybe 3-4 hours a day, you know, extra in the evenings. That's I try to spend at least that much. Yeah. So
somebody from square one who has the passion and the aspirations to make an NFT project that's worthwhile, like with the storytelling, the animations, you know, possibly board games, whatever comes out of it. That's what's awesome about NFTs is there's so many different things you can do. It's just kind of like proving ownership of something.
100%.
And so there's so many things, wine bottles or watches, like they can all be on NFT or it could be NFTs. But somebody starting from square one, where would you tell that person like where to start? Like what's the first thing they should do?
First thing they should do is seek mental help. It is I kid. I obviously kid about that, but it's a really challenging space. Because it's very demanding. Imagine like starting a company, except you've decided to like do a capital raise and you've got, you know, 10,000 shareholders who all expect, you know, something in return very quickly.
Yeah.
And they all have your contact information. So it can be very demanding. But I would say definitely make sure it's something you truly want to do, because it definitely will, it'll test you. It's going to require a lot of time. Make sure that you've got a good artist. Make sure that you've got a good developer. A good developer is so important. And make sure you have someone that is really good on the marketing side. And I think, you know, for all of the kind of pump and dump jokes we say, the reality is a lot of those pump and dump projects at least have a good marketer. To be able to get that. So make sure you have someone that can actually market your project, that can share and engage. Because I mean, that's really, social media is where so many projects are made or break.
Yeah. Did you see, you do know Logan Paul?
Yes.
He released a thing called 99 Originals, which is like an NFT project. He took 99 Polaroid pictures of him doing this crazy thing and scanned it. And now he sells them as, you know, tokens. People are doing weird things with NFTs. It's Beeple.
So weird.
Since you know Beeple?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Since what, 2007?
Yep.
He's been making a new picture every single day. That's insane.
I think one of his pieces sold for like $40 million or something.
It's crazy.
I think it might have been 63.
Yeah, like that's
look it up.
crazy. Like I mean, it's obviously like not one day you wake up and you have all this money, but it's like he really kind of just
in 2007. Wait, so
he just knew. Like, how do you just know?
Yeah. From the first 5,000 days, how much? 69.3 million.
Jeez.
Holy dude, on one piece.
What a great number.
Truly a degen's number. That's really it.
I'm sure the person offered him 70 and he was like, one less and we're good.
And we're good.
Yeah, we made history. Is that the most someone's made?
On an NFT, I believe, yeah.
Most money made from, should I say a single NFT or should I say
From a
project?
single NFT, yeah, try that. I can tell you, let's see, the merge, okay, 91.8 million. Holy cow.
Just a day's work.
Wow, bro.
91.
I think some of those NFTs in that category are truly a little speculative, like art. Like
Yes.
they just like you would buy a Van Gogh. That's clearly, you know, what they've become, and they really are.
Do you guys have, so there's 10,000, I read your website, there's 10,000 unique
Yes.
Grims, correct?
10,000 unique Grims.
Okay. Are you guys going to add to that, or like what's
Yeah. So
the vision?
So we won't add any more Grims. The other interesting thing about like NFTs is supply economics come
Right.
into effect quite a bit. So we're not going to add any more Grims. We do have another collection, which is our Lurkers of the Abyss collection, which are these demons, and they'll be featured pretty heavily in our game. But that's pretty much the only; those will be the only pieces of art that we do. You know, within the Grim universe, we're not going to expand supply anymore, or anything like that.
Piss people off who already have them. They're like,
Yeah,
why are you?
yeah.
We added 30,000 more.
Yes, just so we could make a buck. No,
Yeah.
no, we're not going to do that. They are what they are. Now for us, it's how do we continue to build value for those Grim holders? That is always number one on our mind, and it's what we're pursuing constantly. How do we bring value for the Grim holders?
So how are you guys? So you talked a little bit about marketing and how important that is, and
Yes.
how pump and dumps can be successful because of marketing. Do you guys have like a good hold and grasp on like the marketing side of things, or and who's in charge of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so we did something a little different. Is we actually created a DAO, and we have different elected positions within that DAO, and so we have something called a growth minister, and that's their responsibility to help market the project. We are certainly learning as we go, and it's an interesting thing to try to go from like a very central leadership, which I'm used to, and most people are in like their day jobs, to go to this like decentralized leadership structure. So for us, it's interesting. We've had some really good growth ministers. We have a good one now, who she's done a phenomenal job. And then we've had some, you know, maybe some other guys that haven't been able to commit as much. So it's been really difficult to find that balance. But I think we're slowly learning and getting better as we go.
So the metaverse is here and it's coming strong, and these two-dimensional things only are going to go so far once metaverse takes over. But are you guys thinking of branching out in there? Do you guys already have somebody or a group of people working on like three-dimensional type stuff in the metaverse?
Yeah, so we have a three-dimensional Grim that people can use for their different metaverse projects. We have no intention of building a metaverse. Right. That is a big, hairy, audacious task.
Yes.
And we already have enough on our plate, so we have no intention of building a metaverse. But we definitely want to make sure that if you want to bring your Grim into an existing metaverse or into the future metaverses, you know, we absolutely will provide those assets so that you can do that. Mm-hmm. So we do have 3D Grims that are ready to go, and you can walk around as a Grim if you want. I
was watching your brother do one of the weekly updates, and he said that you guys were thinking about creating vinyl toys with the Grims. Yes. Is that something we can expect soon, or? You know, because that's sick. Having a little vinyl toy on your desk of your own custom Grim, that's pretty awesome. It would be awesome. I think for us, the hardest thing is I would love to do everything, but the further spread out we get, the like thinner. Yeah, the thinner we get, and the less quality we can do. So what we've decided is we said, hey, what can we actually like finish out and do a really great job? And for us, vinyl toys are, if we get around to it, awesome. But for now, for at least for the foreseeable future, you know, for 2022, you know, we're committed to putting out a game, which is a massive project in and of itself, and then finalizing some of our media plays. So those are really our two big objectives. And then, you know, but we're still in the middle of working through something called Lordrum's Workshop, which is a whole nother experience, and
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, vinyl toys aren't just something you could go to Alibaba.com and like get 100 of them. That's
a little trickier.
yeah,
Yes.
it's definitely tricky. I'm still struggling to, I'm trying to make some merchandise for the podcast, like just a shirt or shorts. And I keep putting it on the back burner. So I completely get it. Like,
oh, man, you know what the funny thing too about merchandise is I love merchandise, but for us, like I don't want to be in the shipping game. I have no desire to like be out there every night shipping t-shirts. So you use like a third party. And we have a merchandise store for Grim Syndicate, but it's all third party. So we submit the designs and then someone goes in, actually orders it, and then it's drop shipped out.
Okay.
So we don't physically have to mail out shirts, but it's you know, it's such a small part of, you know, what we're doing, but we think it's important to have the merchandise out there.
When I first graduated high school, I was on my Gary V mindset. So I would buy things and then I would resell them. And I would have a bunch, actually in this room, I'd have a bunch of boxes and tape and stuff. And it was just a lot of work to ship, especially when I'm shipping random, like I'll be selling an HP printer and it's just so oddly shaped and a part of it sticks out. And yeah, shipping's a pain. I used to work in e-commerce and it could be a great business, but for me, it's just not where I wanted to live or operate in. I don't necessarily like the shipping and the logistics behind that. And then you got to deal with customer service if something goes wrong. So for us, we just kind of outsource that to a company that does a better job than we would. Yeah. So we talked a lot about Grim Syndicate, and I'm sure we'll jump back into it, but you do a lot of other things. Can we dig into that at all?
Sure. Yeah.
So what's your day job that you were speaking of earlier?
Yeah. So I'm actually a land developer by trade.
Okay.
So we are right now, I live in Palm Coast and we're working on a project to build 33 homes in an existing community up there.
Sick.
But we'll go there, we'll entitle raw land, we'll actually develop the sites, we'll sell the finished lots, or we'll build the houses on there. So that's my day job. And then I've been in real estate for a while. My wife is a broker. So, you know, we have rental properties as well. So real estate has always been in my blood. And the NFT world is the new part of my life, which I love either way.
Yeah. Before we started the podcast, you were saying that you actually saw a clip from the podcast before. And it was Rocky talking about how real estate for us young people, it's harder to, you know, get land and buy homes right now. And so we were kind of like forced in the position of podcasts and creativity. And, you know, there's always blue collar and white collar. There's always going to be, at least we think. But that's funny that you do real estate. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. How many years? How young were you when you started?
So we bought our first property in 2018. Okay. So not, okay, let me back up. We actually, before we bought our first this was our first rental property. My first house we bought was in 2015 or 16.
Okay.
And we bought a house and we kind of accidentally stumbled upon it. We bought this, garbage house in a great neighborhood in Orlando. And it was bad. It was real. it smelled horrible.
Yeah.
And what we did is we just gutted it down to the studs. And my wife and I lived in this house. Bless her heart. She's a trooper. She's awesome. And we gutted this house. Electrical wires hanging down. We made every possible mistake you could make. Like we made that mistake. And then we ended up moving to a town called Mount Dora. And when we did that, we sold that house and we couldn't believe like the profit that we made on that. We're like, oh man, maybe there's something here. And so we bought another house and then we did the same thing. So we did a little bit of flipping. And then we decided, hey, why are we doing this exactly? Why not actually hang on to those houses? And so in 2018, we bought our first rental property. And our goal has been to buy 2 houses every year. And
awesome.
So that's what we've been doing.
Yeah.
And it's been really great so far. We live frugal and oftentimes we'll buy a house and we'll go and live in that house and do the renos while we're living there. We had the last big reno we did, we had no kitchen for 6 months. So we had to live without a kitchen for 6 months.
Microwave at least?
Oh, yeah, microwave.
Okay. Toaster oven?
Toaster oven and a microwave and a fridge. And that's how we lived, like literally just a table and chairs.
Sounds like a college kid's apartment. Just
it was
microwave
brutal.
and toaster oven. They have the oven there, but it's conceived unusable, I guess. Perceived unusable.
It was wild. It was absolutely wild. And we've done that several times now. But I've always been a believer in dirt, right? I think dirt holds value, which is interesting as we talk about NFTs because those are clearly the opposite of that. But completely in the opposite spectrum.
I believe physical goods hold a lot of value. Buy my NFT.
That's exactly it.
Why not play both sides? You know? Everybody's doing it.
Everyone's doing it. But for me and my wife, real estate is our future. We will continue to be in that world. And, I love it. And I do think, the best time to buy a house was 15 years ago. And now the second best time to buy a house is today. So I think housing is going to continue to go up. It may have ups and downs, but if you look at the general trajectory of housing, I do think that it's going to be an important asset into the future. Yeah.
Is for some reason, all my young adult friends are buying homes or townhomes in Davenport right now. Is Davenport like a steal right now? Do you know?
I'm not familiar.
Okay.
I have been buying houses in Jacksonville, in Central Florida, so Orlando, and Mount Dora, which it's Lake County. I'm very bullish on Lake County. Yeah. So Lake County is kind of where I see a lot of potential, and also in the Palm Coast area, I think it's a really great place to buy real estate. And that's just south of Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. That coastal area has been like this untouched gem. And now we're starting to see just money move in and people from all over, up north, just moving down to Florida and really wanting to be near the coast.
So you were flipping houses at first, but now you guys are renting it out.
Yes.
How stressful is that so how many properties are you renting out right now?
We have 9 properties now.
Is that stressful as a landlord? Is like something new happening every single day in every single home, or?
It can be stressful. It's not quite. It's not every day that something's happening or something goes wrong or anything. It's when it does, it tends to be like a 4-fire alarm emergency. I think I was mentioning when I came in here, I actually had a water pipe break in one of my houses, and I got a call at 11 o'clock at night that water is just pouring out from the ceiling and out from the outlets on the wall. Water is just running down the walls. So, that sucks.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I do a lot of the work myself, and so I enjoy getting to work with my hands. I don't find it particularly stressful. I have a passion for it. Yeah. So for me, it's just a lot of fun.
And that's also 9 sources of income as well. So yes. I mean, you just do what you need to do. I have a really fun segment.
Okay.
I would love to segue into. So I make a new segment every podcast. This is called It's Over 9,000 NFT edition.
Okay.
So basically I'm going to show 2 NFTs. There's going to be a left one and a right one.
Okay.
And you pick which one you think is over $9,000 and which one's under 9,000 American dollars.
Oh man, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah. Let's pull this up. Okay, let me put it on.
Wow.
Present. All right. So these are 2 different NFTs. One's over 9,000, and then one's chump change. So you either pick left or right. After he picks, I'd love for you guys to pick as well.
I will tell you, picking based off art in the NFT world is really hard because I'm going to go with the left is the 9,000 and then the right is the cheaper one.
Okay. What do you think, Rocky?
Absolutely.
I'm going to say the same.
Yeah.
Same thing? Same thing over there?
For sure.
Hard says different. That's why.
All right. Let's see.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So left is $34,277 and the right is $37.07.
$34,000. That's rich.
All right.
Ooh.
That's a little harder.
Okay.
Left or right?
The left.
Left is what? Over 9,000.
Oh, I see.
So
Yeah,
one of
it's
these
over
is,
9,000.
yeah, one of these is the mutated ape, and that one that could be a cheap knockoff of a bored ape. Man, I'm gonna go left as well.
Okay, 2 lefts.
Yeah.
Two
I'd
lefts
say
always
left.
make a right. 2 lefts always make a right. What do you think?
I'll go right just to be the difference.
Okay.
I think it's a mutated ape though. For
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think
See, you guys have an eye for these things. Me, I was just screenshotting
There
stuff.
we go.
Yeah.
$28,156 and then $72.23.
Okay, all
Not
right.
a horrible
not
price
doing
for an
bad.
ape
2
either.
for 2.
Shit. Jesus Christ. Are these Dogecoin NFTs, bro?
Oh.
Shit about the dip.
Okay.
I
Okay.
is neither a choice.
No.
He's got a Rolex on his paw, bro.
Well, yeah, the Rolex, right?
That's
That says something.
crazy.
Yikes, man. I would say
That's a G-Shock. I'm just
Sure.
kidding.
Oh man, I feel like I want to say the right, but I feel like it's probably the left.
I'm gonna say left.
Left.
That's the right.
You got right.
Sure.
What do you want to go with?
We're gonna officially go with. We're gonna go with right.
All right.
Nah, damn.
Right is right.
Yeah.
122?
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I wonder what
That's
what,
pretty
what
crazy.
blockchain it's on.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
an
know.
interesting
I have
project.
screenshots.
Nice.
Left is $61.21. Right is $122,418.
Wow.
Jesus,
Now the right one's a
dude.
little creepy, man.
I will, yeah. That thing follows you.
Oh my.
Left one has an energy sword from Halo.
Oh my god, he does.
Looking pretty sick.
Well, that alone, I'll let him go first.
Oh
What do
man,
you
I
think?
guess I'm on the hot seat. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go right. I'm gonna go right.
You're gonna go right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go right.
I'm gonna go right just because if that does look like a Halo sword, they would have gotten sued already. So
You're gonna go right?
yeah.
Oh
Man,
yes!
you guys are too good. Left
Yes. You
should've never said it.
$29.38. Right $95,286.
Creepy in the right way. Like,
Yeah.
So clearly,
It
all
is.
my exposure in this degenerate world is paying off.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
worked out.
Pretty much.
Nice.
That's it.
I was gonna throw in some Grims
Yes.
that were like kind of close in price and do an over under thing, but I'm like, I don't want to put him on the hot seat if he gets
Yeah.
a Grim wrong or
Oh
something.
man.
Yeah.
Oh, it's okay.
So-
Yeah. Sometimes it feels like there's just no logic to
Yeah.
everything. Even though there is. Again,
Mhm.
it's just wild.
Yeah.
Some of the things that you see, you're like, wait a second. If you're looking for the art, this is absolutely a terrible art project, and yet somehow it's worth so much. And the other thing that I think we see in NFTs is this like idea of exclusivity. It's like, oh, you get to be a part of this exclusive club. You
Yeah.
get to like say like, oh, I own a Bored Ape, so therefore I am awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a lot of that plays into it, and then it's
Yeah.
just like, if enough people say it's worth something, I guess it's worth something. So,
It's true. There's a group called the Nelk Boys, and they released NFTs. Was it just visuals or what? I know there was a lot of like.
So I believe it's called the Full Send card. It's the Meta card, actually. That's what it's called.
So it's almost like
Yeah.
tickets to do a bunch of stuff that's like very exclusive in the
Yes.
community.
They just have a lot of utility to like do stuff with
Yeah.
them.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they'll fly you out, and then you could do this, you could do that. They'll take you to like a UFC fight with them, and I don't know. They'll do a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
It's really hard in those situations because what I've seen with a lot of like utility plays like that, for what you pay, like you could just do it yourself.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's that ability to say, well, I'm a part of this group, and
Yeah.
and you get to say on Twitter, which is kind of where NFTs, that's really the hotbed for NFTs, at least of the Solana chain that we're a part of. So I think it's being able to rep that to say, oh, I'm a Grim, I'm a monkey, I'm a XYZ. You can do that socially.
Does Twitter does something specific when your profile picture is an actual NFT,
NFT.
correct?
Yeah.
It's a different
Yes.
shape.
It
Or
makes
I'm
like
not a big
rhombus.
Twitter guy.
A rhombus is like a diamond, correct? I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a
right.
I did
Right.
geometry in 9th grade. It's been
Yeah,
a
it's
long
a
time.
yeah. It makes it instead of a circle, it's like a rhombus.
Cool.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. Do you have an NFT profile pic?
I do.
feel like okay.
I do. Yes, I do.
I actually don't have social media.
Good for you.
That's
man.
awesome
no
to hear.
social
Oh my
media.
God.
Wow.
I
That's
fumbled.
crazy.
Yeah.
So earlier when you asked how I started this podcast before we went on air, or why I started the podcast, what's funny is I did a 4-month social media cleanse. I didn't specifically say 4 months. I just said I'm going to stop social media and see where that takes me. And not only did I just delete the apps, but I deactivated my accounts just so nobody's like reaching out to me and can't get a hold of me. It's just where I'm like disappear for a while. And my relationships with my parents, any loved ones, friends, absolutely skyrocketed. My drive to like work out and go on runs and start a passion project and balance a day job while doing it catapulted. So good for you, man. No social media. That's awesome.
I have to tell you, I mean, and maybe I'm kind of weird like this. Like I think there's lots of really good benefits of social media, and especially from a business perspective. Like I said, we could not do this project without social media. Like it would, this NFT project would not have succeeded had it not been for social media. And, you know, my brother had a fairly large presence. I got rid of my Facebook, and I think I may have a Twitter account somewhere. I don't think I've tweeted in like 5,000 years. So somewhere it's floating in the ether. But I got rid of my Facebook when I first got married, which was, I'm coming up on 10 years of marriage. So for me, at first, it was like, oh, I can't believe I'm doing this. And let me tell you, it is so refreshing. I can't imagine like going to social media. I can't do it. And not to disrespect anyone who likes to on their phone and swipe TikToks or Instagrams.
They like the dopamine, but at the end of the day, it's bad for you. I think
bores me. It just bores me. Like I just have no desire to do that. I'd rather go to the bar and let's like swipe beers or something. Like that sounds way more fun to me. I prefer that, and I just don't necessarily want my whole life like aired out in photos. And I don't know. I feel like I function better from a mental health standpoint. And I know what I've seen, and this is purely anecdotal, is that when my wife got rid of her social media profile, I felt like her mental health and how she viewed herself like dramatically increased because she wasn't constantly surrounded by like, 50 people, everyone taking these pictures of like, oh, I'm in Rome today and tomorrow I'm in here and all these other places. And if you're like barraged by that constantly, you seem to think like, oh, does no one work? And everyone like lives in Rome and they go every weekend. They're off jet setting. No, that's an absolute lie. Like, and so it was so refreshing to like get out of that lie and to, here's what real life is. You work your butt off, you work hard, and you enjoy and play and enjoy life hard. But social media doesn't show that work hard element, which is required. And so I feel like people come out of social media expecting like, hey, here's the golden platter for you. Life is just nothing but a golden platter. And if a job, makes you feel uncomfortable for even 1 second, oh, you better just get rid of that job because it's clearly not meant for you. You need to be happy. And that's okay. I love being happy. But I think it's important to like 90% of what you do is working hard and having fun, like find a way to have fun in the working hard. And the other 10% is that high mountaintop awesomeness. And I don't know. I think social media skews that and makes people less happy. That's my rant for the day.
No, I love that rant. Yeah. I mean, consider us individual case studies because really having social media, I was 21 when I did the 4-month cleanse, and it just having social media all the way up from probably like 8 years old to 21, and really just 4 months, small amount of time, like my life drastically changed. Like it's pretty, man, hop off social media so much. It's very enabling though. And that's why I find myself in a predicament is with the podcast and my own personal, I'm creating like funny videos too. I'm doing skits. I'm doing like cool aesthetic videos. My life is not what you see. If my Instagram is like, my life is half as good as what my Instagram makes it look like.
Yes.
And so I hope I'm not adding to the problem, but also I try to add like a goofy, funny, like not super high produced like pictures, very silly. So I feel like it kind of falls on us too. to put stuff out there that's very real.
You
Like
look
girls
you're
are
having
posting
an
their stretch
epiphany
marks
over there,
now.
bro.
I am, dude. This is the best show ever. Like,
This is awesome. No, I agree.
I'm gonna stop doing the podcast now.
Yeah, you're
No,
done. This is it.
No more socials.
I'm actually taking a class on social media, and one of the assignments recently, I'm actually looking at it right now, and it's talking about how like the evolution and impact on like media platforms. And I was actually writing an article about it for this class, and I was talking about how it reeks all of these benefits, but at the same time, you're constantly in a you could find yourself in a constant how do I say sadness, almost like, oh, like I'm not doing enough for this or that or that. You know what I mean? But at the same time, me seeing that fuels me. Yeah. So then I want to create content, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. So it's like, I don't know. Yeah.
It's certainly a double-edged sword. And I seriously, I want people to know, like, I am not anti-social media by any stretch of the imagination. Right. It has so many benefits, and there are so many incredible things. People have been able to generate wealth for their families because of social media. And let's not forget that benefit. Like so many families are doing so much better and have an opportunity to not to have to like slave away at some horrible job that truly is horrible. Like they get to do something they're passionate about. And I think like I will always applaud creativity. I think there's been so many benefits to it. It's just for me personally, I don't do well being surrounded in barrages. I have the same rule with news, right? I like to get like a little bit of news, but if I hear every day that the world is falling, oh my gosh, it's inflation. Oh my gosh, the war in Ukraine. Oh my gosh, the planet's going to die. Like, and you hear enough of that. And it's like, I walk around and I know it. If I engage too much like news, I walk around with this like rain cloud over my head and I'm like, oh my gosh, life is falling apart. And instead I miss those like little moments where it's like, oh, I just saw someone help like someone across the street. Oh, I just watched these like really beautiful moments of someone helping a homeless person. Like in those moments of humanity, like I feel like it's harder sometimes to catch that when I'm so busy in my own world because it's all doom and gloom. So I don't know. That again, I ranted again. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So sorry.
I'm actually having once we finish, I'm doing a new segment on the podcast called Not Sponsored By. It probably already ran during the final edit, but I'm doing this thing called Not Sponsored By, to where I pick a company or a product and just do something funny. Like, have you ever watched Tosh.0?
A long time ago I've seen that. Yeah.
Well, he does like this very monologue, like look at the camera, pictures pop up. But there's a certain mic I bought that was really bad, and I spent a lot of money on it. And I bought 3 of them, and they all were really bad. So I'm actually doing a rant somewhere during this podcast. It'll pop up. So a lot of rants, but that's what podcasts are for.
Yeah, and I love podcasting. I think it's so much fun.
Did you, when you do, so no social media, you do media, right? Like you watch, the news and then podcasts and stuff, right?
Yes, I do. I really like podcasts. Yeah. I mean, I have Netflix. So I watch Netflix shows. I told you I love video games. So that's, I've had less time to be able to play video games, but I love video games. I love to read. I'm reading an amazing book on John D. Rockefeller, which is like blowing my mind.
Sick.
So gosh, man, I love reading. Sometimes I forgot how good it is to read and like not stare at a screen. It's like so refreshing.
Yeah. I was, in New York, I was sitting next to Doug Woodrow. He's a back-end engineer and he's a computer programmer. Job titles are weird, but he's sitting there crisscross applesauce reading a book. And I'm sitting there scrolling on TikTok watching people dance. And I look up and I look at him and he's like, hey, did you know like psilocybin originated from this origin of blah, blah, blah.
That's
and
incredible.
The first peoples actually saw this. And I'm like,
It's
look
funny.
at this funny guy fall from this roof.
It's so funny that you say that, because I have that same situation with my mom. Like she'll be in the living room reading her book and I'll be across the living room like on my phone. I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like I should be reading too. Like I should be feeding my brain something that's valuable.
Yeah.
It's
And
crazy.
something happens when you like, kind of like taking notes, when you write something out, it connects with your mind. And then when you're actually reading something rather than, visuals help and people learn differently, but something about reading, it just locks into your mind, especially when after like a paragraph, you sit there for a second, kind of like elaborate and just think about it. Reading's great.
I love to read.
Yeah.
I love shows. I do love TV shows. I love media. Podcasts are, like I said, just absolutely wonderful. So Social media is the only one. I really just don't consume too much of that. And I will add a caveat to that. In our community, we communicate through Discord, right? And you can argue that Discord is a social media, and by that token, you know, I'm very engaged on that, right? I'm constantly talking with community members.
You're addicted. No, I'm just
yeah.
kidding.
Well, my wife may say that I am.
Right.
So here's me, you know, being a total hypocrite again, and living in that world. But I will tell you, I find it to be, for any, like if I'm in there too long, it can be a little draining.
Yes.
And there is this understanding, maybe it's just in Discord, where it's like I keep my DMs, direct messages, I keep those open, right? And so that anyone, the value of having anyone be able to reach out to me is more important than, unfortunately, getting rid of all the annoying messages that I get. So I get a ton of DMs, but those, like, there's this, people are going to take your time, and that's very frustrating. And I try to answer everyone, and I always say at least, hey, not interested, but thanks for reaching out. I even try to do that, but even that can be time consuming and steal your time. So like by the end of it, I'm like, oh my gosh, when you're answering like 40 DMs a day, having 39 of them, you're having to say like, hey, thanks so much, even though it can be frustrating. Yes. So it can be like a little draining on there. But overall, lots of good benefit to social media. Just depends.
We're going to Puerto Rico late July, July 24th.
Yeah, man.
And we're trying not to bring work with us, but work is definitely coming.
It's gonna happen.
Work comes
that's
everywhere.
Just what it is. That's just what it is, man.
Yeah, internet money.
Internet money.
Yeah,
quite literally.
We're going to Puerto Rico. We're gonna do morning runs,
options trading.
Trade some options, drink some protein. Do some boy stuff.
Love it.
Throw some footballs around, maybe something like that.
That's right. That's right. Eat some raw meat. Call it a day.
Exactly.
Some liver.
I have lost a ton of money option trading, so I have learned my lesson not to option trade for me. It's been a mitigated disaster, and I was like, oh, and this is when like Robinhood first unrolled options, and I was like, baby,
oh, no,
I know this. I'm like, I got this. You just let me handle the money. I'm the guy. I know what I'm doing. And sure enough, I just lost a ton of money, and she was so upset about that.
Yeah,
that's the game.
I've lost money, just not a lot yet. So I'm gonna get there, and then eventually I'll probably opt out of the options.
It hits you for sure.
Now I just buy for the long term. I am a diamond-handed person and everything now.
Do you do your own, or do you kind of work with? Oh, your wife's a broker.
I do. Are you talking about houses?
No, well, you said investing in the long term. Do you do like actual in the market?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So I've got a wealth management fund that I love finance too. By the way,
gotcha.
Love finance. And so we invest in just a long term ETAs or stock portfolios like that. That's always been something we've done, but we do that through. Actually, Seacoast Bank is who we do all that through, and then we dabble in Robinhood a little bit, but it's very, very limited. I only get a little bit of play money now, and I try not to mess it up too bad.
Once you get stung once, you stay away from the bees. You
learn a little bit.
Yeah, you definitely learn for sure.
Yeah, we have friends who have blown their entire account, and then we have friends who've built their account up to numbers that are just absolutely mind-boggling.
Oh yeah.
So it's just weird to see if you're making money, someone's losing it. So
some people are really good at it, and that's the thing is I've learned what I'm good at and what I'm really bad at, and what I'm bad at, I just stay away from.
Yeah, that's a great mindset.
I'm bad at a lot of things, so I like to stay away from the things I'm bad at.
Yeah, it was a rude awakening. The beginning of my senior year in high school, I was playing basketball, and basketball took up a lot of my time. And I just kind of, you have so much ego in high school and pride. And I had to look in the mirror. I'm like, Brant, like you're most definitely, you don't have the work ethic nor the passion to make it to the NBA. So either continue playing basketball or like maneuver to something different. Still played my senior season, but with no hopes of doing collegiate because that's a lot of work.
I learned early on with basketball. I'm 5'7". And so I no matter how hard I worked or how good I wanted to be at basketball, it wasn't going to happen. It just wasn't in the cards.
If my grandfather was here, he'd look at you and go, Spud Webb, though.
Yeah.
What about Spud Webb?
That's right. That's right. And I'm
hilarious.
very bad at basketball. I will say that. I am like, I'm a decent defender. Like, I'll get really up in your face, but I just can't shoot to save my life.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, for sure.
was
Where
awesome.
can they find Grim Syndicate? I'll put the links in the description, but grimsyndicate.com or so?
Yeah. You can find us at grimsyndicate.com.
Okay.
Our Twitter handle is grim__syndicate. So you can find us there. And yeah, those are your two best places.
Awesome. Well, much love, man.
Hey,
it was nice meeting you.
Thank you so much.
Seriously.
It was a pleasure to meet you
This
as
stuff
well.
I don't know much about, so it's nice to have like just an open format
Yeah.
conversation with you. And I hope the listeners also got a little bit of information from that. But you guys need to like the video for the algorithm, right? Isn't the algorithm kind of important?
Yeah,
right?
like and comment, subscribe. It really does help with the algorithm. We're trying to get on trending.
Yeah. Hashtag trending.
Hashtag
Yes, sir.
trending.
Like that video. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Nice, man.